Turn the mic on, we lose the intro. But can you hear me? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to yet another Red Sea live stream. My name is Corbin, and I was laughing at Pick here. Is this a 10-hour loop of the Red Sea radio intro, perfect for studying and falling asleep to? Yeah, that is exactly what this is. Maybe I'll do that, dude. I listen. I saw one dude. This is totally off topic and nothing to do with what we're talking about today. But I saw one dude. On it was either TikTok or Twitter or something. He made like the fireplace. You ever like put on like a fireplace with like music in the background? It's just a live stream that does that. Yeah, the one of the guys who made one of those talked about it. He made like $2.6 million last year doing that. What am I doing? I'm sitting here talking about the Red Sox every day of my life when I could just set up an AI automated thing. What are we doing? I could be doing that. Pick, becoming a member of the standing room. Thank you so much, Pick. By the way, speaking of that, next week is going to be our members only live stream. I tried to set something up for this week. Didn't work out. I'm going to try again for next week. If it doesn't, we'll just do our regular everyday scheduled programming. So anyways, let's say hello to some people in the chat. Who do we got in here tonight? Fum, I don't even know if he's still here, but he was the very first person in here. What's going on, my friend? Mr. Money Mike Madness. How you doing? J.A., what's up, brother? Mississippi, MISSISSIPPI. How you doing? Rafael De La Cruz, how are you? Christian, what's going on? Bobby, hello. Exist, how you doing? D, one and only Whitebeard Signs. I say this every time I see him, chat. Oh, there's your notification, Pick. If you want a sign like this, that's the guy to go to. Whitebeard Designs on Instagram. It's Whitebeard Signs in general, but Whitebeard Designs on Instagram. Unbelievably beautiful. That has lasted me, what? It's been 2 years now? A year? It's unbelievable. Patreon, what's up? Daniel, how you doing? My moderator, Robbie's in the building. Spence is here. Can we get an announcement, brother? I've been dying for an announcement all off season long. Have we got anything? Sock Short, how are you? Rye, what's going on? E, how you doing? Bobby, Joe Blow, what's up? Irving, how you doing? All right, so we said our hellos. Everyone's in here. Steven, Starman. I'm a starman waiting in the sky. Maybe I'll just do that. Chat, what do we think about doing that for 10 hours? Thoughts? I'll take a look after stream, Mike. Anyways, kind of an interesting stream tonight because my original plan was to come into the stream and sort of go through like, hey, you know, what's the smoke, right? J.A. becoming a member of the standing room right in time for a members only stream. Thank you very much. We appreciate you, brother. So what I was originally going to do is I was originally going to come in here and we were going to kind of read the tea leaves, right? But we don't really need to read any sort of tea leaves because we just got, like, quite literally like 5 minutes ago, an update on where the Red Sox are at in the trade market. And it's a pretty big one, too. I think this is extremely interesting for sure. So we're probably going to focus on that most of the stream here. But is Campbell the worst? I just saw this. Is Campbell the worst defensive player on the team? Metrically right now? Yeah. Let me see what Jared. Yeah, I think metrically, yes. Right? Yeah, he has to be. Duran was worse than he was last year. I know that, but he wasn't like. Yeah, he wasn't good, but he wasn't. I mean, the only thing that was really bad was his range. His arm and arm strength were pretty good. So, I mean, yeah, Yoshida. Does Yoshida count? Then yes, right? But in terms of just sort of overall statistics, it's definitely Campbell. But I also think, like, I just don't know if second base is his spot. Like, the Reds, when he came into the Red Sox, he was sort of a utility guy by trade. He played a lot of different positions in college. And the Red Sox just said, okay, well, we need a second baseman. Let's just make him a second baseman. I'm curious to see if this year, we talked about the outfield a lot. I'm curious to see if this year, if they sort of find a regular. The problem is there's not really another regular home, right? What about trading for Carlos Correa? I've seen that a couple of times. I don't think, one, the Red Sox want to take on that money, and two, I don't know that. Yeah, I just don't know that he's going to be productive very much for the rest of his career. You know what I mean? Serious question. Why don't we try Duran? I've seen this too many times. Guys, yes, he's played second base. But it was 7 years ago, right? And it took 7 years for Jarren Duran to become a competent outfielder. Now you're going to swap him back? You know what I mean? Like that, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. Duran's not a second baseman. I just I would be shocked if that was what they did. Was he any good at it? I don't know. He played 20 games. He played 20 games in it was either the Florida Complex League or Low A when he got drafted. I mean, look, we could take a look at it, but Mookie Betts did it, guys. Mookie Betts was a platinum glove defender. He was one of the best defensive right fielders in the history of the Boston Red Sox, right? That's so different. Not to mention Mookie Betts coming up through the minor leagues played a lot of different positions, right? They just stuck him in right field because that's where they needed a spot. You had Jackie Bradley Jr. in center field. You had Xander at shortstop. And at the time, you had Dustin Pedroia when he came up at second base. You didn't need him anywhere else, right? Mookie is such a different player than Jarren Duran. There's so much smoke in Paredes, which makes me feel like it won't happen. Yeah, I kind of agree with that a little bit. Yeah, so JA, we were going to talk about that a bit. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I tried to find the. Let me see if I can get the exact article. So there were a couple things I wanted to hit on tonight for sure. Is there a good dude, the amount of ads, just pop-up ads that are on websites are wild. At least mine are you know what I mean. Okay, so yeah, so let's start with this. Let's start with sort of the most prominent trade conversation going around with the Boston Red Sox right now. And it all kind of right now, in my opinion at least, when it comes to, hey, this is sort of the big conversation, is Isaac Paredes, right? It's been the name that's been connected to the Red Sox the most. Man, I always skip this. I want to be in this setup so bad. We watch him. Oh my God, what am I doing today? See what I mean? There's just so many of these. But anyways, let's start with Isaac Paredes, and then let's talk about it here. So recently, Chandler Rome, who is a Houston beat reporter essentially, right, on a podcast said that the Houston Astros could potentially prefer Willie Abreu in a trade to Jarren Duran. It kind of makes a lot of sense to me, right? I've had this conversation a lot on this channel, the conversation of, Abreu or Duran, which one is more likely to go for the Red Sox? It was always, in my opinion, which one's more appealing to the team that you're working with, right? But you look at this specific situation with Isaac Paredes, to me, it doesn't make a ton of sense to trade either the guy. First and foremost, either of these guys 1-for-1 for Isaac, right? You're coming in here and coming out of the offseason having moved Duran for just Isaac Paredes. Yeah, you cleared up the outfield logjam. That's fine. But what did you do to your offense, right? Jarren Duran, yes, he went backwards this year, but we all kind of expected him to go backwards this year. He was still an incredibly productive overall offensive player, right? In my opinion, the biggest things that I got on Duran for last year were by far and away his consistency, right? He wasn't a super consistent bat, but overall, between the peaks and the valleys here, it was a productive bat. trading him for Isaac Paredes gives you an infielder, sure, it gives you an infielder with some pop, but what does it do to improve your offense, overall, right? I don't think that you could sit here and say that you're a better offensive team, subtracting Durant and putting in Isaac Paredes. I think you could say the exact same thing with Wilyer Abreu too, right? And I think more importantly with Wilyer Abreu, when you're talking about, okay, why would the Red Sox sit there and go, well, whoa, wait a second here. We don't know if we want to include Wilyer. The answer is incredibly simple, right? The reason they're bringing this guy in is because they want more home run power, right? If you're going to focus on Isaac Paredes, it's because that swing is going to do wonders. If he makes contact in 81 games at Fenway, he's going to have a lot of home runs. It's just who he is, right? His whole career, he's been a pull-side home run hitter. The problem with giving up Wilyer Abreu for that is, obviously, one, your outfield defense gets weaker, but two, Wilyer Abreu is probably, right now, I would say you could pencil in is potentially your second best home run option, right? If you bring in Isaac and you've got Wilyer over there, there's a real world in which Wilyer Abreu is more home runs, right? So again, you have the conversation of how does this make you actually better overall besides just simply shuffling around positions. For me, the only way that either of these guys make sense, and these are the two names, by the way, It's been, and we talked about this, right? Duran, Conley early, and now it's Wilyer Abreu. The only way that makes sense to me is if it's Isaac and, right? If you get Isaac and Brian Abreu, who's a top 10, top 15 reliever in baseball last year, you get that guy. Okay, two birds, one stone. Now you could potentially make the argument that you were a better team before this trade, or a better team after this trade, right? And that's kind of where I'm at. So for me, with this Isaac Paredes stuff, the other thing that was floated out there was it Jim Bowden or Chandler Rome. I want to credit the right guy here. Essentially, the latest we have on this is that nothing's particularly close, right? It feels like they're still pretty far apart in terms of where they're actually going to end up being in terms of this trade. And people have talked about it in this chat a lot, right? You keep seeing this sort of conversation of, hey, there's way too much smoke here. And usually when there's way too much smoke, you're not going to get it done, right? So, you sit here and you're like, okay, all right, interesting, right? So where do you go from here? How do you pivot? And that's the big question, right? If Isaac Paredes isn't going to be the person that you go and get, who do you go and get? Well, it sounds like the Red Sox are at least going for somebody now. Chris Cotillo, when I said this was literally right before the Reds, we went live here. This was posted 24 minutes ago, right? It's not a surprise or particularly revelatory, but have heard the Red Sox are, in fact, involved in serious trade talks all over the place when it comes to adding a position player. Makes sense, right? But this is kind of where I sit here with this, and I'm like, okay, there's clearly someone that we haven't thought about yet that the Red Sox are trying to get. And that's how I kind of interpret this, right? Is that there's clearly somebody out there that the Red Sox are having legitimate discussions about that we just haven't had conversations about ourselves. The question is, who is that guy, right? Do I think something's close? No, right? If you read his follow-up here, right, there isn't I think a massive trade is about to go down the next 24 hours, but more of they have a lot of irons in the fire. Truthfully, it's a worthless tweet. So it's like, yeah, all right. But who is that guy? You know what I mean? I'm curious to see. So a lot of the conversations with Houston have revolved around specifically outfielders, right? I mean, Bayo's been thrown in, but Bayo's been more thrown in by Red Sox fans. Personally, I don't think the Houston Astros would have a ton of interest in Bayo. Obviously, there's some interest there. He's a good player. But, you sit there with Bayo and you look at the Astros rotation, it's all righties. It's all young righties, right? If they're going to go for a pitcher, it's going to be a young left-handed pitcher. And I don't think the Red Sox are going to sit there and go for, a Conley early or Peyton Tolle for Isaac Paredes. Maybe like a Kyle Harrison, and then you add in somebody else for Isaac Paredes. Maybe that's a deal that I think is something the Red Sox consider, but I don't think the Houston Astros want that, right? So I am kind of curious here. I mean, we've got E talking about it, right? There's a lot of people, in the chat. I don't want to just single out E here. I just saw his because the red seat though. A lot of the conversations that we've kind of stopped talking about, which is interesting, is, the Red Sox picking up Ranger Suarez opens up a lot of possibilities, right? I think you sit there with Patrick Sandoval, you sit there with even Conley Elliott, Peyton Tolley. It'd have to be someone really good, but it makes it easier. Like ideally, you'd imagine that Conley Elliott ideally gets to Ranger Suarez's level. We already have Ranger Suarez on this team, right? So losing Conley Elliott sucks, but it's not the worst thing in the world here. Right, that's kind of what I meant in terms of that, Bobby. I wouldn't say his prime, but yeah, that's essentially what I'm getting at here, right? If Conley Elliott gets to, Ranger Suarez's level, he's a stud, but that's going to be years from now. And you already have Ranger Suarez here. Is it easier to move him? I think the answer is yes, right? Could it be a bigger bat that no one's talking about? That's exactly what I'm saying, right? So you sit here with this and you sit there and you're like, this could genuinely be a little bit of an interesting conundrum here, because there's clearly someone that we're missing, right? Did I watch Ranger Suarez's press conference? Yeah, I watched the full thing. We're going to do a video. We're going to do a little bit of a video. We'll talk about the press conference tomorrow. I also want to talk about his deal structure tomorrow, so we'll talk about that too. What could Duran Massa package get you back? Who would want that? Not a lot of people. I'll be honest. Not a lot of people would want that. What about Jeremy Pena? I'd love Jeremy Pena. I just that would, to me, if we're going infielders on the Astros that you would trade a Conley Elliott or Peyton Tolley for, yeah, Jeremy Pena is that guy. I don't think the Astros give him up, right? But again, you sit there with, hey, is Pena a good defender? Yeah, I think he was really good this year, wasn't he? Or was he not? He had a really good season at the plate. I don't know what he was doing. Yeah, he was fantastic. Okay, I was right. Yeah. Like there's some stuff here where you sit there and you're like, this is a little concerning, right? But again, it's like, well, it's because he had 81 games at, what's the name of the stadium now? The Astros, whatever it is. The Astros Park. Fenway Park's just as good, right? Like, he's another pull-happy home run guy. So you sit there with that, and it's like, yeah, I would be down for this. Matt McClain more than Jeremy Pena? No, not more. Any idea who the bigger bat would be? I genuinely, I don't, because there are obvious trade candidates, right? The Mets, unfortunately, are, in my opinion, probably out with this Luis Robert signing, or trade, sorry. But they had some interesting pieces. We talk about the Cubs all the time. Are they going to sit there with Matt Shaw or Nico Horner and go, we can't fit all these guys in the infield? We need an outfielder. Can we just transition Matt Shaw or Nico Horner into an outfielder? Probably. But would it be easier to get an established outfielder for Matt Shaw? Yeah, potentially, right? Or specifically Nico Horner would be the guy I would go get. That way you could keep Marcel Meyer at third base, which is where the Red Sox prefer to keep him, apparently. But outside of those guys, right? And I said this in a video a few weeks ago, right? It's interesting because once you get this surplus of pitching and you're comfortable moving a pitcher and you have this surplus in the outfield, and while you don't want to use the outfield, you can use the outfield, right? You add in a package and you create a package that's like, Jarren Duran and Peyton Tolley. And all of a sudden, you've got teams that are sitting there going, well, I didn't want to trade, blah, 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 Jacob Wilson or whatever. But you put those two on the table, and now I'm in, like part of me, and this is just me having a conversation with myself, if I'm being honest with you, right? This isn't me, reading with the tea leaves or anything like that. It's just simply me talking to myself about this. They aren't going to trade Tyler Soderstrom. They aren't going to trade Nick Kurtz. But a guy like Jacob Wilson, who could absolutely play second base, I think pretty easily, right? Or even third base pretty easily. A big contact guy, good defender. Like they need pitching. They have none. They have no pitching, right? And they're going to be a good team this year with or without Wilson, right? Jeff McNeil is a low-key kind of a decent player. You got Lawrence Butler there. Obviously, Nick, Shea Langoliers, Soderstrom. But, they have a good lineup. But they do not have a good starting pitching rotation. They just don't, right? So I sit there and I'm like, Interesting. Interesting, right? If you're starting to have this conversation where you're willing to put a Tolley or an Early on the table, and I think it would cost more than that to get Jacob Wilson, but if you're willing to put one of those guys on the table, there's no way that Oakland closes the door on you, right? There's no way. Like, to me, this is when you're talking about kind of outside of the box thinking, this is where my mind goes a little bit, right? With this conversation, it really, the other thing that kind of stood out, if we're talking about the Red Sox press conference, I wonder if it got put into a 17 months from Cody. Thank you so much, Cody. Can't wait for a full year of Roman and Tolley. Oh, and Tolley would be great in the pen. He would be, but I think they want to develop him as a starter, so I don't think it's going to be. Let me see if I don't think it, maybe it didn't get put into words. It should have been put into words somewhere. If I can't find the exact quote in a second. Yeah, all right. I can't find the exact quote in a second. But basically what Craig Breslow talked about is how important defense is, right? So for me, when we're talking about potential, trade partners with the Boston Red Sox, I always go back to that conversation of defense. And, a lot of people are like, well, that rules out Isaac Paredes. I go back to this all the time. With Isaac, it's like, yes, defense this year was not good, right? Arm strength wasn't great. Range wasn't good. He wasn't a great defender. Yeah. But you go back to 24, about league average defense, right? You go back to 23, league average defense. Oops, I'm back in 23. 22, really good defense, right? 21, league average. Like every year outside of 2020, which was his rookie season, and 2025, he was a solid defensive player. So you sit there with this and you're like, okay, could the Red Sox sit there and say, look, we think this might have just been a bad year for him defensively and he'll be fine going forward? I don't know, right? J-Ram's not going to happen. The Guardians would never trade Jose Ramirez. I just don't think it'll ever come to fruition. Would have to be blown away to include Tolley in any deal. I'm telling you, Jacob Wilson is the blow me away guy. That's the guy I sit there and I'm like, if you're gonna go for like imagine this is the top of your lineup, right? Guy hits 311 with a 444 slug. He's got 13 to probably 14, potentially 15 to 20 home runs in him as he gets a little bit older. Doesn't strike out a lot, doesn't strike out like at all. Doesn't really walk a lot, but doesn't strike out at all. Like this would be unbelievable at the top of your lineup. But the problem is, and he's a righty, right? Unless I'm missing something. Yeah. This would be like the perfect guy that you would put in for Peyton Tolley. But again, I don't know. He wants out. Avery, why would Jose Ramirez want out? Where did you see Jose Ramirez want out? You know what I mean? Where? What team do I think ends up picking up Framber? I think the Mets. I think it'll be the Mets. Read Gordo's last tweet. Do I have Gordo? Yep. Yeah, we've talked about this before, right? We've talked about this before with the Red Sox preferring to have Marcel Meyer at third base. It makes sense, right? Same kind of situation where it's like same kind of situation where it's, angles are the same. And eventually the Red Sox want this guy to take over for Trevor Story at some point, right? It's easier in terms of angles to do that going from third base. Chris Cotillo. I don't have names / can't handicap likelihood on certain targets at this point, but my read is the targets are relatively obvious, and no, I don't think Marte is traded anywhere. Interesting. You know what I mean? Interesting. Because, like, the relatively obvious ones would be Isaac Paredes and it would be Nico Horner, right? Those would be the obvious names, but I don't know. Does Marcelo have a personal preference? I'll be honest with you. I don't think Marcelo cares, right? I think Marcelo Meyer just wants to get a full year of health and establish himself at the plate because he knows, right? I'd have to imagine he knows that his defense is going to be fine. Has to, right? Rate Marcelo Meyer on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of what? Go get Marte, call it a day. Marte's not getting traded. Marte, that would be a miracle. That'd be a miracle. Bayo and early for Peralta. Yeah, I think it low key would take more than that. I hate to say it, but Donovan from the Cardinals could be in that group of obvious targets. Yeah, I guess. Like Donovan, like it just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I need to get a new keyboard so bad, chat. Someone remind me to do that at the end of stream today. He's a good player. Like he's a good player. He's a good player. In terms of Marcellus Lettuce, oh dude, he might have the best hair on the team, I think. Like who has better hair than him on the team? When Toley grows his out, his looks pretty good. Duran's is solid, but I wouldn't put it top 1. Marcel might have the best hair on the team. You love Donovan, but another lefty's too much, man. Doesn't make sense. That's what I'm saying, right? Like, what would the Red Sox lineup look like with Donovan in there? Let me look at that. Thoughts on Cody Bellinger? I don't care about it. I'll be honest with you, right? I don't. I think it just the only thing people are kind of bodying the Red Sox for on that is that hey, you know, they got the deal done where the Red Sox couldn't, but it's the same lineup as last year, and the Red Sox had no problem beating the same lineup as last year, so I'm not totally worried about it. Anyways, so you go to this lineup and let's replace Romy Gonzalez with Brendan Donovan, right? One, it's ridiculous that we're just feeding the Cardinals rebuild here. I don't know what it would take to get Donovan, right? I mean, this dude has what? How many years left does he have? So he's got 2 years left. So it'd be 2 years left of arbitration. So probably about the same as it would cost. I mean, he is 30 years old, though. So there's another thing to point out. A little bit older. Great defender, don't get me wrong. And does play second base. Here's an interesting conversation, right? One, first and foremost, they've got Jaron Duran at DH and Masataka Yoshida on the bench. I don't know how that works. If this is what it ends up being, okay, I think I'm all right with that. But even if you add Donovan in here, like the conversation of, he needs to be a righty to me is a little bit overblown, right? I mean, you look at this and it would literally be the perfectly balanced. Everyone talks about lineup balance. This would be the perfect balanced lineup, right? This would be quite literally the perfect balance in a lineup. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. That's what it would be, right? So I don't hate the idea of Brendan Donovan. He's a solid bat. The interesting thing is he wouldn't give you any home runs, right? He would just sort of be a decent, probably top of the order bat. 10 homers. How many runs did he score last year? 64 versus 50 RBIs. Not a big stolen base guy either, which is kind of interesting. I figured he'd be a little bit faster. He's just a decent player, right? And I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. Wong starting? I don't think so. No, Carlos Narvaez is right there. Right, so it would be fine for me. What's my biggest hot take for the remainder of the offseason? My hottest take so far was that I think the Red Sox trade Brian. I got called a clickbaiter like 10 times. 10 times I made a video like, will the Red Sox trade Brian Bayo? Everyone called me a clickbaiter. People called me an idiot. 2 weeks later, Red Sox have been considering trading Brian Bayo. That was my hot take. In August, I asked Marcelo who planned that 2-man. You or Roman? He said, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, Marcelo. How much for Mason Wynn and move Story to second? A lot. A lot. I also don't think the Red Sox are going to start moving people around again after they told them that they're not going to. Mason Wynn would be a lot. Would be fun, right? Would be a fun player. But like, how much better than Donovan would this be? The only difference would be he's under control for a lot longer. Like, could you put Mason Wynn at second base, or maybe would you put him at second base? Like, this would be interesting to me. I don't think they trade Mason Wynn. I mean, they're in a rebuild, right? So what would the Red Sox have to give him to get that guy? He's the perfect guy to sit with this rebuild. You know what I mean? Marte or nothing. Wait till the deadline. I've seen that a lot too. I think the Red Sox want to get at least so the thing with waiting to the deadline is you have to be in a position to be able to afford another player at the deadline, right? The biggest thing with that is you don't know what injuries are going to look like. You don't know if guys take steps back. You don't know if guys take step forward. You don't know what your organization looks like, right? Like right now, Franklin Arias is an extremely valuable prospect in terms of overall, like what he could be in the future. What if he comes out and for the first half of the season, he's hitting 120 in AA and there's very clear, oh my God, he can't hit a curveball type conversations, right? All of a sudden you've lost all these, abilities to trade for these guys or even trade in general. Let's say, you do come into this happens every time on Fangraphs and I don't know what I did. So that's why I sit here with the conversation of trading now as opposed to trading at the deadline. Well, yeah, the A's are also in a rebuild, and we just suggested Jacob Wilson. The difference, Steven, is that the St. Louis Cardinals are just starting their rebuild, right? That was their entire offseason. This offseason was getting rid of guys and trying to build stuff back up, right? The A's are in a different conversation because they're in a legitimate position to compete. I mean, again, you go back to that lineup, it could be a really good lineup in Major League Baseball. I don't want to say top 10, but top half, easy. Right? Nick looks like an absolute dog. Shea Langoliers had a really good season last year. Tyler Soderstrom, solid. Brent Rooker, middle of the order bat in most teams. Right? Jeff McNeil's not a terrible player. It's really just kind of like these guys that are a problem. So if you take out Jacob Wilson, it's still a really competitive team, but instead they get, a pitcher. Look at this pitching staff, dude. It's like Jeffrey Springs, who had a 4.11 ERA. Severino had a 4.54 ERA. Jacob Lopez had a 4 ERA. Luis Morales looks like their best pitcher coming into the season. You know what I mean? So it's an entirely different conversation. Skubal, it doesn't sound like Skubal's getting traded, honestly. I'm going to be an A's fan. Problem solved for me. There you go. That's also true, Cody. I'd rather swim in a sewage treatment plant than entertain that trade. Which trade? Read Tyler Milliken's tweet. What? Though Breslow wouldn't commit to Meyer at second or third base, a source for the team recently noted a preference for Meyer at third. After Bregman's injury last season, Meyer played the position well, but there's an idea of keeping him on the same side of the field as his natural shortstop position. He's likely the heir to the shortstop spot after Story's contract is up after the 2027 season. With that in mind, it appears as though the Red Sox are seeking a strong defensive second baseman. Yeah. I mean, I thought we figured that out already. So let's have a conversation about defensive second baseman, shall we? Position second base. Now, let's go through and have a conversation about which one of these guys are actually available and which one of these guys would we want here. Nico Hoerner feels like a perfect answer. Really does, right? You go get Nico Hoerner, I think you really figured yourself out. Is he available? I don't know. Right? I genuinely don't know. The Cubs genuinely would be kind of smart The Cubs would be genuinely smart to trade him now, get those pieces, put Matt Shaw there. And if you really can't handle second base without it, which I think Matt Shaw could, he's probably going to be available at the end of the year anyway. So Nico Horner feels like the answer, right? Xavier Edwards. I would love Xavier Edwards on this team. I don't know if you guys, we talked about him last stream. Not Xavier Paul. There's a ton of potential here. Not a ton of home run potential, but you look at some of these, this dude's also what? 26. Base Sox with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Austin Riley, potential option. He's young and under control. I appreciate the $5 super chat. I do not think he's going to be an option. I do not think the Braves want to have that conversation. And it sounds like, according to, Jen McCaffrey here, the Red Sox are more looking for a second baseman than they are a third baseman, but would be a fun addition. So Xavier Edwards, maybe, right? But it'd depend on what he costs, too. He's not a free agent until 2030. Still has an option remaining. Right? Andres Jimenez, no. Mauricio Dubon, no. I hope not. Right? I'm good with that. Marcus Semien. The Mets aren't going to trade Marcus Semien. Dodgers aren't trading Miguel Rojas. Luis Rengifo could be an interesting name. But he's a free agent, right? So you just have to sign this guy. He's still, 20? He's 28 years old. Probably, I mean, you look at these seasons and you're like, all right. That ain't too bad, right? 3 years, 22 to 24, you had 273. 39 homers. He got up to 17 back in 22. 111 WRC plus. That's solid. You know what I mean? $5 super chat from Mr. Money Mike Madness. Thank you so much, Mike. He said, Sean Murphy or Kyle Teal, which catcher would be a better number 2 catcher, assuming Narvaez stays healthy? I appreciate the $5 super chat. Thank you very much. Which would be a better number 2 catcher? I mean, Teal's younger and a lefty, so it'd be easier to platoon. That'd be my answer. So, is Luis Rengifo as a free agent? It wouldn't be splashy, it wouldn't be fun, but he's a good defensive player, right? He's right here. Good defensive player at second base. Right-handed bat, has a little bit of pop, has shown over the course of a season that he can be an everyday player. Have I heard a teacher man? No. Matt McClain's an interesting one to me. I don't know, right? McClain would be fun, but McClain kind of fell off a cliff. I know, Mike, you've been talking about him. And I've talked about him before, wanting him on the Red Sox. This dude just never stays healthy. And the one season he has had that's been healthy wasn't very good, right? 220, 300 on base percentage, almost 30. If you're not giving me 25 plus home runs, I can't sit here with an almost 30 strikeout rate and say it's worth it. You know what I mean? He just wasn't a great player last year. Great defender, not a great player last year. Would kind of scare me a bit. Jazz Chisholm, I don't think so. And then you start getting into, okay, these guys are fine, right? These guys are all right. But it's not a clear, okay, this is what I'm talking about, right? Is Mike Romero any good? Yeah, he's a dog. I could see the Red Sox potentially not giving him the open run for second base, but letting him do his thing. You know what I mean? What about Tyler Milligan? What? There's not a lot of choices. It's either Houston or St. Louis that we could strike a deal with. Maybe, right? But again, you go back to some of these teams and it's would Xavier Edwards make sense? Could you just sign Luis Rengifo? Is Matt McClain an option? You know what I mean? Yeah, it sounds too unreasonable, Ben. I think it'd be so dumb to move Duran into second base. Otto Lopez, yeah, that'd be an interesting name for sure. The Marlins could be interesting. I mean, they just lost a ton. They just lost a ton of pitching, right? So could you trade them a underrated younger player? Problem is he doesn't have a ton of MLB options. He's 27. Let's see the statistics. He's just not a great bat. Like he's just fine. You know what I mean? Like this to me feels like screams like you have David Hamilton at home, you know? What are we discussing? We're trying to figure out. So okay, for those of you who just joined, I apologize. So this was recently put out by Jen McCaffrey of The Athletic. You know, I can put the article in the chat if you guys want to read the full thing. Basically saying that it sounds like his preference for Marcelo Maris to play third base, which means it also sounds like the Red Sox may be looking for a second baseman. So we're trying to figure out, is there a second baseman out there that screams, okay, you know, can we get this done? And like Nico Horner is the answer. But I've talked about this before. Like Nico Horner is going to be valuable, right? And if he's valuable, that means the Red Sox are going to have to give something up legitimately to get him. And if that's the case, you've got 1 year left. You've got 1 year left to try and get something done. My God. You've got 1 year left to try and get something done before you have to try and bring him back at free agency. And I don't know how much faith you guys have in the Red Sox bringing players back in free agency, but it never tends to go super well. Like the problem is, like, I'm looking in this sort of area right here of like players that you sit there with and you're like, okay, this is kind of value-wise similar, right? Like Marcus Phillips is one of the most highlighted pitchers in the Red Sox system. You know, could you do that and maybe give Nizan a fresh start somewhere, you know? It would have to be more than that. I thought that was 12. It's 17. Now you're in the like this. Oops. Now you're into like this area here. Like, does that get it done? Maybe, but like, is that enough for you to? Would that be enough for you to sit there and be like, okay, I'm okay with that? I don't know. I don't know. Moncada for a 1 year rental? I don't know. The way we've been taking care of our farm system, I'm willing to bet we have an amazing second baseman either in A-ball, AA, or AAA. Yeah, it could end up being Mikey Romero. Franklin Arias, I think, you know, at some point this year you could have a conversation about him coming up. There's always the possibility that, you know, Christian Campbell figures himself out defensively. Like, we're talking about exactly what the Red Sox need. They need a contact forward hitter, right-handed hitter that can hit the ball out of the park occasionally, right? I think, you know, again, I've said this in videos before, and I'll keep saying it again. You're probably not going to get a 30, 40 home run guy. Unless it's Isaac Paredes, who I think could hit 30 or 40 home runs with the Red Sox here because of, you know, sort of how his profile works. Like, you're not going to find it, right? But 20 home runs, I think you could see Christian Campbell eventually get up to 20 home runs, right? So you're like, okay, the Red Sox need a decent defensive second baseman, preferably a good second baseman, but at bare minimum, not a guy who's going to be a liability over at second base, right? You need a contact forward bat. You need a guy who put 20 out. Okay, right? Christian Campbell could hypothetically be that guy if he could just, all he's got to do is figure out himself at second base. That's all you got to do, right? And if you can do that, all of a sudden you sit there and you're like, all right, interesting. Yeah? Like okay. Like you go back to like Christian Campbell on the up and up. Right? If you ignore what he did in Major League Base, and I know that's a tough thing to say. It's just ignore the bad stats in Major League Baseball this year. But you go back to like what he was, you know, in minor league baseball in 24, and it's like, you know, he's a contact hitter who walks a lot, who's got good power. Like this is what you need. But the problem is just like, can that actually translate? Can you actually do that? I don't know. With the Cubs, yeah, Campbell, I think you talk about, you know, swaps here. Would they be interested in Campbell? I don't know. Right? It's an interesting conversation, but I get worried about giving up Christian Campbell, especially like if you're going to give up Campbell, I feel like it needs to be a longer term solution, right? Like giving up Campbell for one singular year of where is Christian Campbell? There he is. Giving up Christian Campbell for one singular year of Nico Horner scares me a lot. Right, scares me a lot. He fixed a lot of that E. I don't know if you saw the video, but his swing looks completely different now. Doubt the Cubs want to take on Campbell's deal. I don't know. Like the deal for Campbell's pretty cheap. Pretty cheap. But I think seeing how the Red Sox have already showed interest in him, that he would be spending all his time trying to master second base. I hope that's what he's doing. No, because the Red Sox are telling him he's going to be an outfielder. Why would he play second base? You know what I mean? He can't seem to pull the ball, but that's the thing. That was Major League Baseball, right? Minor League Baseball, he was a great pull hitter. Yeah, but it's $50 million over 8 years, brother. That'd be less than what you'd pay him if he was an everyday regular for 6 years. I wonder if he just hasn't had soup yet. Will Breslow make another trade or go with the kids? That's what we're trying to figure out, right? It feels like there's another big trade in him. It feels like there's another not like oh my god trade, but like okay, that makes the Red Sox better type deal, you know? My hat is way too like it's too thin on my head right now. Thin, small. A favorite part that stuck out to you for the Ranger Suarez press conference today? I don't know that there was much that like stood out in terms of I don't know that there's a ton that like stood out to me in terms of like what he said. I do think one thing in kind of terms of overall was just how excited this dude was to be here. Like him talking about when tight. Thank you, Jack. Like him talking about when he was a kid, you know, how all his friends cheered for and I don't know how true these stories are, but it's a nice story, right? In Venezuela, they would get Red Sox Yankees games because they'd be they're internationally televised, and all his friends would root for the Yankees, and he would root for the Red Sox. And I thought that was kind of a cool story. And like talking about Pedro Martinez and just sort of the energy here, I like that. But again, I don't know how much it is true. I just like the stories. All right, so we did just get another Tyler Milliken update here. Milliken, the news aggregator. Ian Cundall was the first person I remember floating Otto Lopez. We just talked about Otto Lopez. Yeah, it could be an interesting name, I think. Like with Otto Lopez again, I go back to like, is this better than what you have on the team right now? That's the question, right? Or are you just trading to trade? Like yeah, ran into 15 home runs is true, but and he doesn't strike out a lot. That's also true, but like he doesn't necessarily hit the ball incredibly hard, right? I suppose if he did start, you know, hitting what must have been not a lot of doubles. Those 21 doubles over 143 games. Do you have any triples? No, you didn't have any triples. Like there's just not a ton of enough power there for like, is that better than Romy Gonzalez is my question, right? With Camlet's story, it's like trying to fit us. No, story's fine, I think. Milliken tweeting just a tweet. I kind of like I personally like it because it makes my job a little bit easier, you know. What up, Dale? I would love Brian Abreu in a Paredes trade as well. Oh yeah, of course. Travis Bazzana, I don't know. Everyone's forgetting that Christian Campbell was injured. Yeah, true. Meyer, no matter what, will get a chance to start, I think, at this point. The only scenario in which Marcel Meyer wasn't going to get a starting job this offseason was if they traded him for Ketel Marte. That's clearly not happening, right? So you sit there with that, and it's like, okay, now he's getting a shot. All I could see is one more lefty bullpen piece. I don't even know if they get the lefty bullpen piece, honestly. Like, they don't have a ton of wiggle room in terms of money. No, I'm not saying his last year was fine, E. I'm saying I have enough faith in Story to get back to being a league average defensive shortstop that I'm okay with them starting him at shortstop this year. Does that make sense? Like, what he did last year wasn't fine, but you also have to remember that was his first full season since basically he signed with the Boston Red Sox. It was his first full season at shortstop since he was a Colorado Rocky, right? So, yeah, there's going to be some fatigue there. And if you talk about the 19 errors, 6 of them came in the last, what was it, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of the season. You take out the last month of the season, he had, what, 10, 11 errors? It's still a lot. Don't get me wrong, it's still a lot of errors. But my point is, I don't sit here and say there's no chance Trevor Story's a decent shortstop next year. I think that, you talk about, okay, now that he's a little bit better acclimated to being an everyday player again, which is crazy to say, but now that he is, I think he could potentially get back to regular everyday shortstop. I don't think he'll ever get close to winning a Gold Glove. I don't think he'll ever get close to being a top defender in Major League Baseball again. I just don't think that's going to happen on the wrong side of 30. But we also assuming, that's also a good point, right? Can he even stay healthy? But I think I'm not totally worried about the defense. I don't know about you. I low-key like Romy. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that. A lot of people are saying give Romy a shot at the everyday job. My worry with Romy getting an everyday job is all of a sudden you get real thin depth-wise, right? You're going to have to platoon with Meyer. You're going to have to platoon with Meyer at some point, right? That's going to have to happen. Can Nick Sogard or Nate Eaton be that guy? I don't know. And if someone were to go down, I don't know. I get worried about losing. Like, it sounds terrible because it's like Romy played well enough. You're right, looking at these statistics, to get a shot at an everyday player. I get worried about losing him as a depth piece, and I think that sounds crazy. There's a possible chance Trevor Story puts up some of the best numbers of his career coming up. I suppose there is. I don't think he will, but I suppose there is. Salary cap thoughts when 5 teams can't add players. Trying to imagine try to imagine a Scooble player deciding between Kansas City and Pittsburgh, etc. It'll be interesting. My problem giving up Duran in a trade is, for a bat, is his value would almost be lost and replaced with the same player. Yeah and no. Yeah, no. It depends, right? Because ultimately, if you're going to trade Duran for one of these bats, what's most likely going to happen is it's going to be the bat and then some, right? It would be the Astros trading for Duran, not the Red Sox trading Duran for. Does that make sense? Right? So I sit here with that, and it's like, yeah, potentially, but also, like, it depends on what else you get back. Yoshida has a chance to have the best glutes in the league. I also feel like Duran being traded would hurt the clubhouse. Does the clubhouse need another hit? I don't know. Like, you brought in good clubhouse guys. In both Ranger Suarez and Wilson Contreras are good clubhouse guys. So I don't know. No, the problem is no one's going to replace Bregman. Like, Duran's not going to step up and be Alex Bregman. You know what I mean? Do I think the Pats can beat the Broncos? Yeah, they should. Who will come up with the home run sallies without Duran? True. There's the big question we need to be asking ourselves. Could we trade Bayo and someone for Jordan Westberg? Dude, if we give the Orioles Brian Bayo, I'll be so mad. Paredes is not a good clubhouse guy. Where'd you see that? I see absolutely nothing about him having issues in the clubhouse. If you could find a source, I'd love to talk about it, E. Yeah, if you could find that source, E, I'd love to talk about it. Because you'd think that'd be a pretty big story coming out of Chicago, and I don't not agree. I'm not saying you're lying or anything. I cannot sit here and be like, oh, I didn't know that if I can't substantiate it. You know what I mean? I think we need one more season to decide if last year Duran was a slump. No, like the problem is you get like the closer you get to free agency with Duran, the less value he has. If you're gonna trade Duran, this has to be the offseason you do it. Just give Pedroia a bionic knee. Yeah, guys. How has no one thought about that yet? Does Duran lose the leadoff spot to Roman Anthony? Yeah, I'd imagine. I'd imagine. Does it desperately need a right-handed back, Kevin? We kind of went over that. Like right now, you have more righties in your lineup than lefties. If the Pats make the Super Bowl, we needed a Super Bowl live stream. I don't know. I'm not gonna totally say no, but probably not. Could I see Roman having 30 home runs this year? I think 30 would be. I think 30 would be a lot. I would be happy with 20. You know, because I think he's gonna make enough contact and stuff and drive enough runs where it's worth it. David Hamilton for Shohei Ohtani. Yeah, why has anyone talked about that either this year? Is trade values clearly not worth enough where any of us would be cool with it? Yeah, but that's a problem. You know what I mean? Like we as Red Sox fans sit here and I think like Red Sox fans have always kind of overvalued Durant on the market. What are my thoughts on Otto Lopez? I just saw that Tyler Milliken tweet. I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, with Otto Lopez, like is he like Roman Gonzalez is a little bit older and Otto Lopez is a little bit younger and probably a bit higher ceiling, but like these are the numbers from last year. Like it's elite defense for sure. And he doesn't strike out a lot, which is great. Like maybe he just got unlucky last year, and going forward, if he maintains the same approach, like it'll be solid. But it doesn't look like he hits the ball very hard, right? Squares it up a lot, which means he just doesn't have a ton of power behind him. And I'd imagine he probably always never really had a ton of power, but yeah, 3.5 WAR is great, Wallace. But if you can't add anything to this lineup and just give you decent, like good defense, that's about all he does. Like he was not a positive look. 2.3 WAR total this year, right? His offense was -9. His defense was plus 11.8. This is what I'm talking about, right? Like, yes, the WAR might be a little bit higher, but it's all defensive, all of it. Yeah, and I CJ or CG, I think that's why we're not seeing a lot. That's what we need. No. You need a balance. You need a balanced Wallace. If you're gonna go out and get somebody, it can't just be an offensive or a defensive stud that's gonna hit the bottom of the lineup, right? Like look at this lineup right now. You don't need a 7 through 9 guy. You need a or either a 1 or a 2 and bump everyone else down, or you need a 5 or a 6 here. Like coming into the season, your 6 is Carlos Narvaez. Like obviously you'd hope that Marcelo kind of grows into the middle bottom of the order here, but like you need a guy who's going to be able to at the bare minimum hit towards the middle of your lineup, and Otto Lopez isn't that guy. You can't even put him at the top right now. Caleb Durbin from Milwaukee. I mean, maybe. What is WAR? It's wins above replacement. Is the player X better than Romy? If yes, then trade for him. If not, Romy the job while Campbell is ready again. Maybe. Everyone's forgetting that Rafael is going to hit 280 with 15 plus home runs. Oh, right. Forgot about that. I could low key see say Don Rafael getting better again this year. Like if you look at his major league, like it's like obviously this year was kind of a crapshoot. He only played 30 games, but like the average went up this year. As the average has gone up every year, the on base percentage gone up every year, the slug's gone up every year. Like I could 100% see a world in which say Don Rafael is, ends up as like a league average WRC plus guy with almost like 16 or 17 home runs. I could see that. I don't know about 280 though. I could see like 255. That'd be cool. I'd be happy with that. I'd be very happy with that actually. How about Tyler Tolbert? Are we just naming people? Tyler Tolbert, huh? 27-year-old who made his debut this season. I think I'd rather have Romy Gonzalez as an everyday player than give up legitimate pieces for this guy. Like he's been a league average to below league average bat all the way through minor league baseball. And was a league average player at Major League Baseball. I think say Don will end up being a power or average hitter. I think he'll be great at one of them. Power has to be. Trust, we need him. Oh yeah, this is clearly the difference. You remember watching this guy? I don't remember. I've never heard of this guy in my life. When did he get drafted? 13th rounds? Are we just naming people standard operating procedure? That's true. Yeah, a lot of what we do is just name people. Gavin Lux, didn't he just get traded? Who did he just get traded to, chat? The Rays. I'm good with this, too. But I would love Brett Beatty. I don't think the Red Sox are going to... I don't think the Mets are going to be interested in doing that. Dove deep into baseball last year. What is Romy's potential? I sit here with Romy, and I think Romy can be an everyday player. I just don't know that it's smart for the Red Sox to give Romy Gonzalez that shot right now. And that sounds terrible. Right? That sounds awful. But I think Romy is too important to the platoon at third base. Like you put Romy and Marcelo Myers as essentially your third baseman. You combine those two, and you get the great defense from Marcelo with the offensive potential that Marcelo has, which is incredible. And, the bat from the right-hand side with Romy with decent defense, like that's a really good player just fused together there. And I think that's sort of where you got to put him now, and that's unfortunate, but it's just where your team is at. I've always said to take the cost of below average player. Do I agree? No. Mets are going to deal McNeil. Brother, Jeff McNeil's on the A's. I think this front office is going to run it out as it is. I don't know. Romy's a bad defender at third base? I don't think he's a bad defender at third base. To be fair, everyone was kind of a little bit of a bad defender last year. Like, if you're going to go off of errors for the Red Sox, everyone had errors last year. First base, second base, third base. I mean, he did make a lot of errors in 20. That was 24 though. Where was that? I mean, it was 3. To be fair, it was 3 errors in 14 games. He only played 2 games last year. A -5 defensive run save too. In 24, it was 79 innings. I'm still not crazy worried about it. Mostly because I think Marcelo's definitively getting a bulk of these. What I'm talking about here is Romy being this sort of everyday, or not every day, like when you face lefties. It's basically like he's Rob Refsnyder. Do I plan on being an insider for the Red Sox? No, I don't. I don't know. I don't have a ton of interest in being the guy that breaks news. To me, that stresses me out. Right. And it feels like the only reason people would watch me is to just see the breaking news. And if I don't have it, then I lose my job. Right. And then in terms of like being on the Red Sox payroll, I don't know. Like were you talking like Nesson? Like if Nesson came to me tomorrow and was like, hey man, we want you to host a morning show or whatever. Like, yeah, of course I'm going to say yes to that, because then I'd be able to talk baseball for a living, right? Of course I would. My only concern with doing something like that is I don't know, like it doesn't feel like they would limit my my ability to speak freely on something like that. Like there are guys on Nesson who crap on the Red Sox when they're doing poorly, right? That'd be my only concern. I generally think lower. My end goal is to hopefully make this, right, at the end of the day, this my full-time job where, I speak to you guys as a fellow fan, How about Braden Taylor? Taylor, the upside is nuts. If we're going to trade for prospects, brother, or like rookies, you might as well just go with what you got and wait on Mikey Romero or Franklin Arias. You graduate with the interpreter? That's kind of cool. What about Ramon Urias? No. I'm good. I'm all set. Thank you, though. Thank you, though. If you go on Nesson, there's no, trust me, there's no smoke there. There's absolutely no smoke there. I don't think I will ever get a job on Nesson, but. How about Durant for Jackson Holiday? That would be such a wild trade. Would I give up my channel if the Play Tessie guys came calling? No. No. Do I watch other Red Sox YouTubers? Mainly, I try to, for the most part, avoid specifically watching Red Sox YouTube videos, because the worst thing I think that I could do as a YouTuber is, ingest that and even subconsciously make it, no. Let me think how to phrase this. Like subconsciously sort of incorporate their opinions into my videos. Right? What the hell are you talking about, Sovereign Son? Regurgitate. Yeah, that's a good word to put it. So I don't watch a ton of. I will watch. The one guy I do watch is Robbie Hyde, because I just think me and Robbie look at baseball so differently, and I love it because Robbie's so analytical, and it's great, right? But I'm more like, if something big happens, I'm getting emotional about it. You know what I mean? Hey Corbin, I had to go. What are we talking about right now? We're trying to figure out what the best path for the Red Sox is trade-wise. Is it true I had beef with another streamer? No, I've never had beef with anybody. Does anyone else not want to put Marcel at second? Yeah, the Red Sox. I think we need to go to Arizona and offer to overpay for Marte. I mean, that'd be great. I just don't think that's going to happen. If we got a left-handed bullpen arm, a catcher, and Paredes for Duran from Houston, I'd be interested. What does a perfect offseason from here look like to you? I think you get a like, at this point, the majority of your offense is going to come from the guys you already have, right? So give me a solid everyday second baseman. Give me a second baseman that can hit the ball fairly well. I'm talking like if you can give me slightly above league average with a little bit of pop and not a ton of strikeouts, I'm in, right? What happened with the streamer beef? I don't have any streamer beef. I've never gotten into a fight with anybody. Brandon Donovan is a move, yeah. Big subscriber meetup, yeah. I know. I've been asking and trying to figure that out. Haven't been able to get one done. That is my number one goal for 2026. I think. What do I make of the Red Sox backloading Suarez's deal so much? Is John Henry that hurting for capital? No, I think it just makes sense for Suarez here, right? Those are guaranteed dollars. $5 super chat from Money Mike Madness. I appreciate you, Mike. Thank you. Would I do collabs with more Red Sox creators? Locked on Red Sox, Sox Digest, iTalk. iTalk is more of a baseball channel, I think. Robbie, etc. Yeah, I absolutely would. Yeah, 100%. I just like to me. I don't know. I've never. There is a Discord actually, Crutch. So I'll be honest with you guys when it comes to collaborations like that. I would love to. I think there's some cool dudes out there and girls obviously too with Locked On Red Sox. Gabby's fantastic at what she does as well. Yeah, he's a Sox fan, but he does baseball stuff. I don't know what the best way to go about a collab is. You know what I mean? Like just a straight up interview. Like you guys see those guys all the time, you know? You love the athletic trade partner? Yeah, I love it too. I just don't think it's gonna happen. Do I know Red Sox Digest personally? No, I don't. I don't know many people personally. Robbie's the only one. I would say Robbie's the only one that I could say like we have a really good relationship off the field. And then that's not like I don't like the other people. That's just like I haven't really spoken to them that much. Am I a fan of the Greg Hill show? I'm trying to remember which one that is. To be honest with you, I don't mind WEI. I like. I mean, obviously, when you're talking about what are you doing? Why are you trying to bait me tonight? We're having a good stream. What are we doing? Is Alex still on payroll? Yeah. We haven't seen him in 2 years. No. How did I meet Robbie? We just started talking about. We just started talking about baseball together. That's really it. What made me start a YouTube channel? There were too many podcasts. Seriously, yeah. There were too many podcasts, so I was just like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do a YouTube channel. Plus, I always like the YouTube channel, specifically the live streaming stuff, because I could talk to you guys directly. Right, I love doing that, and I also like being able to reply to your comments. You couldn't do either of those things on a podcast, so that's why I did YouTube. Horner would be nice. However, I would only trade for him if he guaranteed to re-sign with us. That's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Oh, so you're trying to start beef. I see. Do I think the Devers trade is worth it? No. We got ice. I love the we got ice guys. I love those guys. They may be, in my opinion, and this is I don't know why. I don't know why we're talking about this, but those guys, in my opinion, are the most creative baseball creators going right now. Like their games, their like 1v1s when it comes to like pitches and stuff, like unbelievable. Yeah, if I ever got the opportunity to collab with anyone, I think it would be We Got Ice. It would be Robbie and then We Got Ice. Remember Pedro Siriaco? Sure. I think the best bet is to wait until 1 month in and see what internal options are doing, trade in season. Yeah, but Molson, what if another team also has a guy that they're willing to give up now, but does really well for the first month and now they don't want to? Red Sox rundown guy's very nice. Very nice. Yeah. The Red Sox rundown guy is very nice. Such a different world than NFL. Would MLB benefit from sign and trades? I don't know. I don't know too much about sign and trades to give you an answer to that. It's hilarious how many people wanted to fire Brez, but then overnight we got a top 5 AL pitching staff. Yeah, I don't think I was never I was never in the fire Breslow camp. I'm still not, but there are things that I still think I can criticize him about. Dale with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Dale. We appreciate you. I don't know how we got on the topic of other Red Sox YouTubers. But I appreciate it, Dale. Thank you. We're back to baseball. What about David Fry, bro? Bro was an all-star. I see. Bro was an all-star 2 years ago, got hurt, and slumped good. Buy low candidate, and he could play third. I think I'm all right with David Fry, to be honest with you. But it's an out-of-the-box conversation. I don't hate that. Oh, it was Mike. Of course it was Mike. Like, yeah, he was really bad last year. I mean, he's a good player. Like, there's some good years. You're not wrong. There's some good years here, right? Not a good defender. That would scare me. Have you ever talked to Carabas? Yeah, I've talked to Carabas a few times. Bress has a lot of issues, but he's done a great job building organizational infrastructure. I think that's fair. Mike Romero, third base or second base when he's called up. I personally would put him at second base. I was kind of surprised to see him as a top 5 third base prospect. Not that I don't think he deserves to be a top 5 or doesn't deserve to be a top 5 third base prospect. Just something like just surprising because I always pictured him as a second base guy. But let me see what his splits were. I thought he played mostly second base for the Woo Sox last year. My God, this is unbelievably difficult to read. No, I guess it was pretty close, but it was more third base than it was second base. Interesting. We Roman Anthony on stream? Yeah, let me get on that. What's up, Ethan? Don't like the defense. Not yeah. I appreciate the $5 super chat. And I like the thinking out of the box there. Thoughts on Manny missing on the Hall of Fame? He was the greatest. He was the greatest hitter I ever saw live. So I thought he should have been in the Hall. I kind of understand it, right? You get caught twice for. Although I will say, if you get, I mean, A-Rod also got caught twice, I believe, right? With steroids, like it's understandable why they wouldn't. But then you've got A-Rod who looks like he's on track to make the Hall of Fame. Although I will say, a little bit of a difference in Although I don't know, it was pretty dang like Manny was a great player. It's interesting. Yeah, Romero I think could be a solid. He's like in terms of peak. I don't even think Roman knows you. Where is it? Chat, where is it? Ah, he doesn't know me, Chad. He doesn't know me. Didn't A-Rod lose his Hall of Fame status, though? No. He's still on the ballot. When you look at David Fry's line stuff, I think you're underrating him low-key. I don't know, dude. I talked to the cashier at the grocery store. Doesn't mean I know them. Fair. He definitely doesn't remember me, but he knows me. Trade Tolley and Duran for Junior Caminero. Put Meyer at second base. Call the offseason done. Brother, I would poop a full rainbow. A full rainbow if the Red Sox did this. Yeah, but guess what? I was closer and had a longer conversation with Roman Anthony than you ever will. I would poop a full rainbow. This would be God. The God tier. He's been trying to rage bait me all stream, and it almost worked, brother. It almost worked. Junior for a bag of potato chips. Yeah, the Guardians have an interesting trade history. Want Pedroia to make it so bad? Hey, listen, he took a big jump this year. Just have a steroid section of the Hall of Fame. That'd be kind of interesting. You had a decent conversation with Billy Crystal? Hell yeah, Mike. Dude, Junior Caminero would be, like, genuinely. Do I want Manny from the Padres? Yeah. Have I ever tried? You know what's funny, Robbie? My friends finally. I've met him and spoke to him. Congratulations. Well, Yohan Moncada's off the board. You know what's funny, Robbie? My friends finally convinced me to try Arc Raiders. I'm still new to it, so there's a lot to learn. What am I doing? Oh. Race. Right. What would it even take? This is listen. Before you yell at me, this is not going to happen. I just want to look. Can a man look once in a while? Yeah. Need more. Thoughts on a Rafael Devers guy? That'd be dope. Miss a lot of stream. Who are the top trade targets again? Right now, it has to be Isaac Paredes and Nico Horner because those are the most obvious ones, but at Bayo, why didn't we extend Schwarber? It's a little bit of an interesting quote out of context. What quote? What are we talking about here? Like I'm not gonna like acknowledge what you're saying because I think it's really dumb. But I do think it's kind of sad that you come in here every week and try to make me angry. Like, isn't that a little sad for you? Who would I like to see the most realistically? I think the best, in my opinion, would be Nico Horner. I think more realistically, it feels like it'd be Isaac Paredes, but I don't know. How good would a lineup be of Anthony Bogaerts, Bregman, Devers, Story, O'Neill, Nate Lowe? Nathaniel Lowe being in there is wild. Narvaez, Cedon, Rafaela, Crochet is the starter. It'd be all right. Am I going to spring training? No, I'm not. I was going to try and go this year, but with the wedding coming up, I got to take time off for a bachelor trip. I got to take time off for a bunch of stuff. I just don't have the ability to. If I was full-time, yeah, I'd be down there every year, but I don't know. Drop the Arc Raiders username. I think it's quite literally just Red Seed. Am I okay with giving up Durant for Paredes? No, not one for one. It would have to be Paredes and like legitimate other pieces. Where are we all going for the bachelor party? We're all going to Florida. Are you okay with giving? I already read that. Bro has Red Seat next to his name and is a complete troll. Oh. Honestly, why not try to trade for Bogey? Brother, that would be sick. Like, I would be so, like, I've said this before. I am such a Xander Bogaerts fan. I loved this dude when he was in Boston. I would 100% all day. If the Padres were like, hey, man, how much is left? Check. Someone look up how much is left on his contract. Someone donate $1 million to Corbin to solve his scheduling issues. True. Hey, guys. If someone wants to donate $1 million, I will quit this all year right now. I will call my boss right now. What about Durant for Nico Horner? No, I don't think I'd do Durant straight up for Nico Horner. I don't think the Red Sox would either. It'd probably be prospects, in my opinion. Let me look up Xander's full contract. I need the year and the money. What up, Cosmic? So it's about, let's just say 25.5 mil for 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 100 million, 5, 6, 7, 8, 200 million left on his deal. Woof. Dude, this was such a wild contract looking back on it. So, all right, so $200 million. Let's say the Padres give us, oh, wait, no, wrong side. Let's say listen, chat, this is going to work, right? They give us $100 million of that deal. Okay. All right. And we give them Christian Campbell. I'm trying to make this work so bad, dude. I'm trying to make this work so bad. And it's just not working. So if Xander still owed $200 million, right? He still owed $200 million. Which is just crazy, dude. Just crazy money here. He's owed more, actually. Oh, no, there's a sign bonus. So he's owed $200 million. And we put... and all right, so now it's $100 million, right? So now we get Xander Bogaerts for 25, so it'd be half of that, $12 million a year for the next 10 years. Well, not 10 years, close to 10 years. 7 years. 7 years, $100 million. Okay, you know what? That's kind of cool with me, right? Problem is now he becomes a little bit valuable, and we're not trading Franklin Arias for this guy. Oh, I got it. Bang. Ladies and gentlemen, all our problems solved. I got it. I figured it out. This is it. This is it right here. Who says no, chat? Who says no? Cutter's King would be heartbroken. I would be happy. Doesn't anybody think about little old me? Who dares say? I want a reason why. Put Xander Bogaerts to second base. Padres, why? They save $100 million. They get out from under a contract that they do not like. Guys, think about this. Xander was a league average bat this year, 32 years old, right? He was pretty good, league average. He's also playing at a terrible ballpark. Still doesn't strike out a lot, walks a decent amount. Probably a pretty decent second baseman. Did he play second base at all this year? I thought he played second base this year. He played second base a bit this year. It was pretty good. Oh, no, that was last year. He played second base last year. It was pretty good. 6 outs above average. Listen. So he's a good defender at second base. He hits for average. We know we can hit for power. We've seen it. Listen, chat. I'm just saying. What's the no for? What's the no though? The contract sucks. It's half. It's half of this. They gave you $100 million. They're paying half of the rest of his deal. Half the rest of his deal. Right? So you're getting him for $12 million a year. Am I missing something here? We'd already had the most errors in MLB. Brother, he was a good defensive second baseman. 6 outs above average, 2 fielding run values. That's solid. He's not a good shortstop, although he was good this year, huh? How many errors did he have this year? He only had 8 this year. That's half of what our shortstop had. What would we be paying? You'd be paying $100 million for 7 years, $12 million a year. $12 million a year for the next 7 years, Anthony. Guys, where's the issue here? Where's the issue here? There's no, besides the fact that you're paying him till he's 40, but you're paying him half of what he'd be getting anyways. Please, someone give me a logical reason as to why this doesn't make sense. Bring Xander Bogaerts back. It's the age 40 part of the contract? Yeah, but by the time you get to 2033 here, $12 million for a bench player is probably going to be pretty average. Like, just have him be a leader bench player. You know, yeah, he'll DH once in a while. Maybe he'll get some defensive reps in there. We don't need the money on our salary cap. It's $12 million a year. You've absolutely no occupation. That's not a word. You don't have a ton of money tied up. And Xander, you're probably right, and Xander will retire. Yeah, exactly. He'll take Yoshida's role in 2 years. Perfect. Chat. I've fully convinced myself I want Xander Bogaerts back. What's up, Wes? Fully convinced myself. Do we want to block Arias though? I don't care. I like Xander Bogaerts so much that I would do this. Right, yeah, we'll just keep sending around the money, you know? It's a nostalgia speaking. No, it's not. It's not, right? He played a good defensive second base for you. He was a league average bat last season in a really bad hitter's ballpark. He played 136 games, still had 11 homers in, again, a really bad ballpark for hitters in 81 games here. Doesn't strike out a lot, doesn't walk a lot. He fits exactly what the Red Sox need. Like, what am I missing here? Am I glad? No, I wanted Xander back so bad. They should have extended Xander halfway through that season. They should have absolutely done that. Paying him $100 million, you're giving up Cutter Crawford. Padres, no, the Padres don't. This will not happen, but come on. Dude, I have Sox content. I have fully convinced myself Xander Bogaerts is the move. I feel like Charlie Day looking at the whiteboard, chat. That's what I feel like right now. That's me. Wait. Yeah, yes, because it does make sense. Because it does make sense. Oh. Jose, I appreciate you being here, man. Thank you. I think that's saying that it automatically translates to videos. I did click that option. I think that's what you're saying, Jose. Could someone translate that for me? This is what I walk into. A lot of you guys did. A lot of you guys did. And let me tell you, this is the way, Chad. You want another World Series? This is the way. Let me explain. I'm going to get off kind of soon here. Let me explain this one more time. But in order to do that, we need to do something first. I need to fully get myself into this. Hold on. All right, chat. Let me cook. Let me cook real quick. Let me get in the mood and then we'll cook. All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready for this? So, here is my grand, just unbelievable, absolutely ridiculous answer to the Red Sox problems. You go to the San Diego Padres and you say, hey, man, listen, we know you don't love this video. We know, wait, you know this video. I read chat at the same time. Let me restart this. In order to answer the Red Sox problems, the Red Sox go to the Padres. They say, hey, man, listen, we know that, ultimately you just wanted a big star. Xander was our boy. We almost had the deal done for him. You came in, you swooped him up from under us. Well, guess what? You don't love that deal anymore. And you're not doing super well. In terms of money, right? You're not doing super well in terms of money. So we're gonna give you a way out of both of those. You give us half the Xander contract, which is $100 million. You save $100 million, which you could put towards other players on your team. Get yourself out from under this contract. And the Padres go, hey, man, that's not a bad idea. Plus, you get yourself either a long relief pitcher or a starter for the next few years who's not going to cost $100 million. For the Red Sox, you bring back not only the heart and soul of the team for a very long time, my favorite player ever. You also get, and walk with me here, the Red Sox need a guy who doesn't strike out all that much. Xander Bogaerts, career-wise, doesn't strike out all that much, even at 33 years old. By the way, you were willing to pay Alex Bregman $156 million. This would be $56 million left. He strikes out at a 17% clip. He walks at an 8.7% clip. Again, at 32, he had a 263 average, a 391 slug. It was a 104 WRC plus. Was it the greatest in the world? No. But he was also playing at the worst hitting ballpark in the country, folks. In the country, right? And he was still putting up decent league average numbers. Then you say, well, Corbin, what do you do with him on the field? I'll tell you exactly what you do with him on the field, ladies and gentlemen. For 85 games back in 2024, Xander Bogaerts played second base. In that second base position, yes, he had 6 errors, but he also never played there before, so he was learning, folks. Let the kid pick up a new trick. You know what I mean? Anyways, you look at the advanced metrics here. Xander Bogaerts was an above-average fielder when it came to outs above average. He had an above-average fielding run value at 2. We're talking about what do the Red Sox need, folks? They need contact. They need a second baseman who's decent. They need a right-handed bat for the middle of the order. And we know Xander Bogaerts can hit at second at Fenway Park. We know it. So what am I missing? I need to translate the video in Spanish. I don't know how to do that. How do I do that? Chad, does anyone know how to translate these videos into Spanish? Maybe I'll start a Spanish channel and have someone translate them for me. Xander was on the decline when he left. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I mean, he still put up a really good season, dude. Almost 20 home runs. Oh, wait, where was I? 15 home runs. No, he wasn't. He had a WRC plus of 133 when he left. He had 307 in 150 games with a 456 slug. Pardon? $2 super chat from Dale. I'm sold. I told you guys. You think about this, and it's like, yeah, there we go. Oh, I worked myself up, chat. I'm worked up. But I'm thoroughly convinced. Someone clip that. I'm putting that on Twitter. Cutter's King is probably cooking up an insane Corbin takedown. Yeah, I'm gonna get booted off of Twitter. Cutter's King is coming for my throat, dude. Cutter's King is coming for my throat. The Sox run on Yoan Moncada. I kind of figured they would be. That kind of makes sense. How do you spell his name? I always get this wrong. There he is. Why am I not follow? I follow him. The Red Sox and the Blue Jays were the 3 teams most closely monitoring Moncada's markets. I don't think that's unbelievably true. Also, why am I not following this guy? Cutter's calling his mind. Dude, I'm telling you, chat. Tell me I'm wrong. No one is saying that I'm wrong because you think about the logic, it makes perfect sense. $2 super chat from Prime Dave. Why did the Sox pay Houck if not to play this season, to play next season? Very simple. Corbin, will I tell Sox content to answer you, please? I don't think he's in the chat anymore. I think he took off. Yeah, I wouldn't have been mad at Yoan Moncada, honestly. Like I don't think this would have been a bad like a terrible pickup, you know what I mean? This would have been so funny if he made his way home. Like, he was good. He was good the last year. But the problem is he's just never healthy, right? This was his best season for sure. Thank you so much for your $2 super chat, Dave. If I did not say that already, thank you. Not a good defender last year though, huh? But solid bat. You know, a couple homers in there, a few walks. I don't hate it. I don't hate that they were in on this guy. What did you miss? Red Sox World Series is a big fan of yours and would like to talk to you. No, after next season, Prime. Always loved Yon, but definitely not the best option at all. No, definitely not. Definitely not. But, like, at this point, there's not really a best option. You know what I mean? Why the Red Sox haven't made me assistant GM is beyond me. It's a great question. Why haven't the Red Sox made me assistant GM? You know? Who are the Red Sox free agents next year? Dude, is it bad? I don't know off the top of my head. How many games does this current team win? How many did they win last year? 89? 89 games. Sonny Gray, Aroldis Chapman, Patrick Sandoval, Garrett Whitlock. But that's a club option, so. And this is a vesting option. So these two will probably be there. It's just Sonny Gray and Patrick Sandoval, looks like. We about 86 to 93. I think that's a pretty good. I think that's a pretty good range here. I think you get a bat. You get a legitimate bat. You're a 92 to 90. Yeah, 92 plus to win team. Brock Holt is exactly the person we need right now. Yeah, Dale, I've been trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do if there's a lockout. I don't know. What's a realistic expectation for Bogaerts' WAR if he plays 82 at Fenway? What did he have last year? Let me see what he had last year, and I'll answer that question. He had 3.2 WAR last year. He continues to play about 130 games a season. He could probably be a 4 WAR player again. I think kind of easily. The home runs go up for sure. Zue Lin is coming to save us. You know what? Hell yeah. Are we still paying Rusney Castillo? No, I don't think so. Tell us about your life outside of Red Seat. It's not much, dude. It's not much. There's 3 things in my life, man. It's my fiance, it's Red Sox baseball, and it's comic books. That's about it. I do play video games quite a decent amount. I don't know. I like cooking. I've been working out a lot more recently. With the wedding coming up in September, I'm trying to lose some poundage, you know. Don't forget the cats. True. My fiance would probably kill me. Weight progress. Okay, so in all fairness here, Meek, between December and January, I gained like 5-7 pounds here. Because of the holidays, so I'm trying to get rid of that and then sort of get back. Yeah, Dale, that's kind of what I was thinking of doing. Jose, thank you so much for subscribing. Can we see your fiance? No. She doesn't want to be on camera now. You should. Corbin, how do I feel about Manny Ramirez getting the kick off the Hall of Fame ballot? I think it's stupid. I think if you're going to keep Alex Rodriguez on the ballot, and see him get a legitimate shot at doing that, at getting in, Manny should have also. Can I get an invite to the wedding? I've been slowly trying to peck away at my fiance letting me live stream it. It's not going to happen. It would be cool though. I don't think you're delusional at all, Steven. What would it take to get Tatis? Franklin Arias, Peyton Tolley, Marcelo Meyer would be interesting. but that's about it. Like, genuinely, I think that's where the Padres will sit there and go, Actually, you know what I think it would be? I think it would have to be, it'd be Peyton Tolley, Kyson Witherspoon, Franklin Arias, Marcelo Meyer. Bellinger did re-sign with the Yankees, yes. Chad, I don't know. It's one of those nights where I don't feel like getting off, you know? I like talking to you guys. But I do have to figure out some flights, so. Chat, I think I'm going to end it here, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you hanging about. This was what color is my tux? We're just doing classic black for the tux. So high in Witherspoon. I've been a fan of you for a while. You're a true gentleman role model. Eric, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. I need a new keyboard. Ron, can we get a round of applause for Rendezvous? I totally forgot to do that. You just made my night. Thank you. Thank you. You're not the first person to say that tonight, Sox content. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. What's the news with Isaac? Isaac who? Don't forget the Doves. Right, don't forget the Doves. Don't forget when Doves cry, chat. Member stream will be next week. Next week. It'll probably be next Tuesday. I think it's gonna be next Tuesday. I tried to get something this week. It didn't work out, so we're gonna pivot and do something next week. Anyways, chat. Oh, Isaac Paredes. What's the news with Isaac? I see. Love and hate, Corbin. Meek. Yeah, you do kind of love and hate me, huh? Not really much news. The Red Sox are still kind of far apart, and the only real update is that the Houston Astros might prefer Abreu over Duran. Anyways, I appreciate you guys being here tonight. New members, old members, thank you so much for continuing your membership. It really means a lot to me. Anyone who donated, thank you so much. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about definitely some comments about some stuff in the press conference for Ranger Suarez, as well as breaking down his contract a little bit more. Should be an interesting video. I appreciate you all being here tonight, man. It means a lot to me. If you haven't already, hit subscribe to that like button on these videos. Helps me out a ton. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, where will I see you? With Xander Bogaerts.